Welcome to another Just 5 Mins. Yet another, you say. So, what are we talking about today? Well, excuse me. You'd think I could edit that out, couldn't you? But I'm so lazy. I really am. Right, what are we talking about? We're talking about dev containers. Docker dev containers. I've covered it in brief. Oh, crikey, quite a few episodes ago. But to be honest, it was sort of new to me at the time. I don't think it was that new at the time anyway. But just after now being using dev containers for a while, it seems appropriate to say why it's good. Okay, so the premise is where you would normally develop something, Python, C#, Java, Go, Rust, whatever it is that you want to develop. You're generally having everything local on your machine, whether that's Windows, Mac, Linux, or Linux. I can never get that. But the point being is that you're installing those dependencies local on your machine. And there's probably some other ones. I think Podman. I want to have a look at that as well, and I'm sure there's other options. But Docker, yeah, whatever your view is, I have no problem with it. I think it's great. And the whole containerization, that's been around for some years now, let's face it, is quite incredible. And I'm still a little bit of a novice for sure, because I don't use it day in, day out. But I like the idea that you can use it even without Kubernetes. So Kubernetes, that's another story, isn't it? I'll have to probably get my knowledge up to speed on that. But Kubernetes is a way of orchestrating many sort of containers and failovers and good. Anyway, there's a long story with that. In fact, my good friend Tim Abel might be able to help with that one. Because I think he's actually used it. And anyway, but you do have something called Docker Compose, where you can link multiple containers together. So, for instance, if you've got like a MySQL container running and you want to keep things separate for good reason, because you might want to upgrade that container, throw it away, rebuild it, whatever it might be. And then you might have another container running, say, Python or Rust or C# or, dotnet, generally. So you can actually wire these things together and it fires them all up at the same time and has the right networking things to talk together. Anyway, all of that is really cool. But what's even cooler is the fact that, and I keep forgetting to do this, I was loading PyTorch, for inevitably, because I'm going to become an AI expert, of course. Ha ha. But anyway, the point being is I needed Python. So I loaded Python on my local machine, and then I thought, I've got the wrong version. And then I've got to load a new version. Then your machine gets cluttered, basically. Enter dev containers, because you can actually create a container that you actually develop within. So instead of just running a container of the output of your code, if you like, that you've created, you're actually developing inside the container. So you've got all the dependencies, and the great thing is you can have lots of these for different versions. So you can even have things like multiple versions of, say, Microsoft SQL, or multiple versions of MySQL, Postgres, and multiple versions of Python, .NET. You get the idea. So it's really not that hard to do these days. And I've just been playing around with the Azure Developer CLI, AZD or AZD, but AZD does actually roll off the tongue a little bit easier. So well done, USA. So anyway, the idea is that I can now mess around with that without cluttering up my local machine. And the brilliant thing is, of course, because it's Docker, I'm developing on Windows 11. Don't shoot me. But I can lift that up, that Docker container, and I can just use it on a Mac exactly as it was, or move it onto Linux. and use it as it was. So I think dev containers is definitely maybe in the proper real development world that I'm not in. Maybe this is just norm. I don't know. I honestly don't know. It'll be good to get some feedback. But I think it's one of those things that I keep missing, and I wonder how many other developers sort of do miss. And of course, it copes with multitudes of different images for different platforms, languages, all the rest of it. So anything that Docker supports, generally, it's going to work in a Docker dev container. But it frees up the fact that if you just want to do a little bit of Python and then throw it away afterwards, fine, you can do that. And you don't have to go and install stuff out of your local machine. So that's what I've got this time. So take care until the next one.